continuing the discussion of the PES editor, there's quite a bit more to talk about. So I'm in the Master League that I'm doing for YouTube, the Leeds United Master League, and I'm on team information. So, and that's team information for the Championship. So let's have a look at Brighton, for example. So they have a game plan, and that's their game plan. Now in the editor, what I did was, before I started the playthrough, I went and to lots of squads, not just the Premier League and the Championship, but divisions above them, below that, where they are in the editor. I haven't finished them all off because there's a lot of work to do, and I mentioned I do get burnout from the editor, but I went into the editor and I put on fluid formation for each team. I tried to pick their best 11 and their best 11 kickers for their formations. And I also tried to take off the broken counter-attack tactic where possible. So, to cut down the chances of getting the matches that I've been showing you where the opposition just run away and won't do anything. And I can stand there with the ball and put my pad down and wander off and go to the toilet and make a cup of tea or whatever I want to do. So I tried to stop that, but it can't be stopped. So why can't it be stopped? Why can't you stop that? Because of this manager info. So here we go. Each squad is paired with and has a AI quote manager attached to it. You can't alter the manager. There is no way in the editor to alter the tactics of the manager. Nowhere. So the AI will have managers attached to the AI teams, overriding any work you do in taking off the broken counter-attack tactic and setting up, teams. So, for example, you can see this AI manager, N. Hayen, his build-up style, his attacking style, the attacking area, you can see it all on the right-hand side. And the defensive instructions, all-out defense, centre containment, conservative pressure, defensive line compactness, and going over to pressing the R1 button to page 2 of 2, you can see counter-attack, long pass, wide, maintain formation. The very things I was trying to turn off cannot ever be turned off because Konami didn't see fit to give us an option to edit manager styles anywhere in the game. So when you do a Master League playthrough and you think, right, like I did, before I push any buttons, I'm going to go in the editor and I'm going to get rid of this thing. You can't do it. Thanks, Konami. So Burnley, the same, and you can go into your Master League playthrough and you can check it yourself, and you can check the editor yourself. But there you go, page 2 of 2. Counter-attack, long pass, centre, maintain formation, all-out defence, centre containment, aggressive. That's it. That's the stuff there that does it. So when I put on my playthrough and I moan about teams running away and not touching the ball and being really aggressive with their tackling, that's it. And I can't turn it off, ever. I can't do it. And it's in loads and loads of teams. Loads of them. That one actually isn't, is it? But you do get the frontline centre aggressive. There you go. Counter attack, long pass, wide, flexible, all out, defence, centre, aggressive. And I can't change it. I can't. So here we are in the editor. And if I go to editor, I go down, to other, then this is where we find the edit data for youth team players. So when you start a Master League playthrough and you have your youth team and you look in your youth team and you think they're all a bit rubbish, that one might be okay to use for a little bit, and I might be able to use that one, but most of the others are rubbish, then this is where you can alter that. So when you start a Master League playthrough, you will get a wage budget that is inadequate, right? You'll get a lot. You can have, like I've done in my playthrough, haven't I? I set the transfer budget to the highest one, so that I could have money to try and build a squad. But what I'm fighting in that is the wages. So I'm trying to get my scout to find players because the deals are better and lighter on my wage bill than they would be if I didn't. So that's what I'm trying to use the scouts for. But I haven't dipped into the youth team, and I didn't dip into the youth team because the youth team players out the box at default have deficiencies in certain areas. Like, for example, if I look at the list of names there, and I have edited like a name or two, like Ollie Tarnance. If anybody saw my Ridge County playthrough from the other season in PES 2020, I had a right-sided player called Ollie Tarnance, and I've put him there as well. So I've changed a few of the names, but if I look at the list there, basically I would look at the left back, El Tezer. I can't even pronounce. I call him Tex, right? That's what I call him, Tex. He used to be called Phil Tizzinho, didn't he? And that was easier to pronounce. Where do Konami get these names from? Anyway, I'd be looking at him straight out of the box at default, but he has deficiencies, I think, in sort of physicality or balance or something. I can't remember which one it is out of the box, but there are other deficiencies that he's got as well. But generally speaking, he's a good one to look at because you have rubbish left backs at your squad in the default Master League team, so he's a good one to look at. I wouldn't be looking at any of the centre backs. The goalkeepers as well are a bit questionable out the box at default. Vucetic has deficiencies as well, but I have used, or is it Slezacek I might use? I can't remember. There's a particular defensive midfielder, and I forget who it is that I've used, but they do have deficiencies as well. I'm trying to think. Ollie Kynan, I've used Ollie Kynan a few times, but again he's got deficiencies. So it's like you sign them, but basically what you're looking for is somebody better than that, but they'll do for now. Do you know what I mean? And then like you develop them and stuff, but you end up getting shut because there are always better ones. So what I've done with them is, and bearing in mind that wage bill that I talked about, is I've altered them. I've altered their physicality, their aesthetics. I've done their running motions and their kicking animations. I've even given them player skills and stuff like that here and there. But for goalkeepers, the highest OPR I've got there is 70 at 19 years old, and the lowest ones are 67 at 16 years old for goalkeepers. And that's because of the wage bill. So the higher OPR you create a player or you edit a player, then the more wages they're going to take up. And when you start a playthrough with your default Master League squad, wages are at a premium. But it's like there were players in here that I just would never use. And that's, a worthwhile question, isn't it? How many of the youth team players have you ever considered worthy of signing? And it's like, this is our game because we bought it, we took it home, we put it in our console, and Konami gave us an editor. So my sort of thinking to that is, well, use it and, make of your game what you will. Amalia at OPR 74 is going to take a lot of wages, but what I did was I tried to give myself choices of things, because generally speaking, the right backs that you get at the club are kind of adequate-ish in Gyoza and Sifa. It's like there are other deficiencies, which I addressed at the beginning of my playthrough, at left back, centre back, and the right side of midfield sort of thing. And so I've kind of given myself choices for playthrough and choices of players that I can bring in. And if I wish to bring in a one at 74 OPR and then try and get other bargains elsewhere in the transfer market, I can do that. So it's like, just my advice would be play with it. Make something of it for yourself. So the Latin America one is one that I haven't done yet, but I will be editing all of these in a similar kind of, giving myself choices. If you look at the youth team players for each region, PEU, Latin America, and Asia, what you'll find is that, again, there's only one left back, and that's the point, is that it's the same amount of players for the same positions. There's no support strikers. There's no left or right wide forwards. So, for example, if you're editing the youth team or youth team players, you could actually make one or two players to play different positions, for example. Just use the editor for things that you would like to do in your game. That would be my advice, because the editor is there for us to use and to play with. And since I generally find the majority of the youth team players unusable, there's a player in here there, 51 OPR, right? And it'll be the same in each one at default out of the box. But have you ever used a 51 OPR player? There are players that I believe there are players at 40 odd OPR at default in the game somewhere. Have you ever used any of those? And it's like, you don't have to go crazy editing players like I'm doing in the PE League, but you can set them up for how you wish to play and how you see your game. Speaking of crazy editing, so this is a thing that I did was, when I've played PES before, I've purposely tried to use the worst players. I've done playthroughs on Superstar. I've done playthroughs in different editions of PES with the PEU League with default teams, and that's where I started using the team that I use as Ridge County, because as I saw it, they were the worst team in the entire game. They didn't even have a full team full of proper positions. Most of their team at default out of the box is right backs. And I thought, it's going to be that word fun to play them in their default team at Superstar, and that's what I did. So yeah, that's me. That was fun. I actually made a successful side. I did it. But for the last iteration of PES that we're going to get, which is 2021, I thought, do you know what, sod it, I'm just going to make some stupidly talented players with loads of skills and stuff, because I've never done that. So that's the idea of this. I mean, look at this guy, 97 OPR. Get in. Look at these skills. So I'm going to have fun with this league when I'm all done. Anyway, that was a bit more chat about the editor. I got lots more to say. I tried to make this video once and ran out of time, so I'm going to have to do another one because there's other things about basically the editor.